All right, YouTube, Repo Man 64. Let's see. Can everybody hear me? The green screen's not working so well today. I don't know what's going on with it. I don't know if the wrong light on. That's too. That's better color, but all right. I just thought I'd come on live. We're on 7/26 today, and I'm going to do a video after this, but a lot of times people have a lot of questions in the comments and I can't keep up with them. I'm a one-man show. So I thought I'd come on here and answer any questions I can. How's everyone doing? Kevin, standing armor of God. How's everyone doing? Rebecca. I can't see without my glasses. Michael Green. Angela Smith. How's everyone doing? If anyone has any questions, the comment section will start going so fast I can't keep up. So you'd have to start your comment with the word question. And that way I can just scroll down and look for the word question. I won't be able to interact in the comment section too much once this thing attracts a lot of attention. Happy Sunday, or what day is it actually today? The Gregorian calendar is wrong. Today is the 26th, right? And today is, there we go, the 26th. Today is actually a Tuesday. Today is Tuesday. And it is exactly 21 days from when Jesus is baptized. In my video I'm going to show how the Catholics are looking at the 2,000-year event after Jesus was baptized. I think they're looking at a little one, but they're looking in 2033. So they're 4 years too late. It's actually going to happen in 21 days. That will be the 2,000-year mark from when it actually happened. Jesus was baptized in 26 AD. Ministry lasted 3.5 years. He went to the cross on March 30th in 30 AD. Question: what date is 9th of Av fall? 9th of Av has passed. The 9th of Av was Tisha B'Av, and that was July 24th, 2 days ago. Pouch filled with clouds. We have some humor. Yay. This is definitely the time for humor. This last moments of time. Question: how do you feel about the upcoming blood moon in August? Isn't it August the 12th? I don't have anything on the timeline for August the 12th. Jesus was baptized 3 days later on August the 15th, so maybe that's what it's pointing to. And 3 days later, Jesus will have been baptized 2,000 years ago. All right. Yeah, Spinebreaker's looking at the 28th. I'm not sure what he has going on for the 28th, but it is interesting that he's looking at that. That would be what, 14 days after Jesus is baptized on the 15th. Groundhog's Day. Let's see. Blood moon. Online Warriors for Christ. Moderator. Valentine's, 7th, no doubt. Yeah, the to be of or not to be of, that's the question. To be simply means the 15th. There's a to be in every month. And so to be of is July the 24th, which passed. No, that's Tisha B'Av, my bad. Tubi is July 30th, which is Av 15. Maybe that's where they're getting the 28th from. I'm not sure why they're looking at the 28th, but that would be Av 15. Question: what day does the Feast of New Wine start and end? It has ended. I stick to a static timeline. It doesn't change. And when something's passed, I don't start jumping to every other calendar to try to reconcile. The moon in Aries was true during Jesus' time, but it has moved 30 days. And if you try to start your year instead of on March 17th and started on August 17th, you move everything out. That would mean that the flood happened in the end of November instead of the beginning. That would mean that Jesus' conception wasn't on December 25th, it was on January 25th. It would move everything out. So it just doesn't fit the way they do it. They know they're wrong because they have to correct it every so often. So they know absolutely that they're wrong, but they will not leave that. So they're stretching it out, trying to say, well, maybe it's this calendar, maybe it's that calendar. Now it passed. The Feast of New Wine passed on July 18th, and Av the 3rd is done. Just like the Gregorian calendar, maybe it's not this day. Maybe we counted wrong. The Gregorian calendar is a static calendar, and it doesn't change, and neither does the Enochian. It doesn't change. It is what it is. He was saying week of I'm doing that thing again where I'm not showing the question. Sorry about that. At least I caught it earlier this time. Question: what day does what day does ninth of was watching the green? You guys need to spell check this before you hit send. I do the same thing though. And he was saying week of August 20th. Yeah, I don't know who's saying that. The ninth of Av is absolutely unequivocally July 24th. That's it. That's when it happens, and that has passed. And so, what do? We just keep on looking at what might be next. Online Warriors for Christ. Hi, how you doing? Question: Ty Green possibly be right? So I don't pit myself against anyone else, and Ty Green's a great channel, and he loves the Lord, and he's simply trying to find the rapture. So I would never, you know, uh, disregard what Ty Green says. However, me and this channel, we stick to a static timeline that doesn't change. A day passes, it's done with, it's over with. And as unfortunate as people think that is, it has to happen. Nothing has to happen when we say it does. It doesn't have to happen. And it's not going to happen when we say it does. It's going to be on a day we think not. However, I think it's going to be on a day that, and it's going to be on a day that has biblical meaning. So, what's my next high watch day? My next high watch day will be July the 30th in 4 days, and that will be Tu B'Av, a wonderful day, the day the Jews are happy about, the day of the weddings, and that day will be a Saturday. Tu B'Av falls on a Saturday, on a Sabbath. It always does. July 30th is always a Saturday on a static timeline. I know the day of the week, I know the date, and I know the year. And so I believe the rapture must occur in a Jubilee year, and Jubilees are counted by 49, not 50. That's just a complete disregard for what it says in Leviticus. They're every 49 years. And as a result, the year 6027 was last year. And that is divisible by 49. And that means the following year is the Jubilee, the 50th year. It's also the first year of the next 49-year Jubilee block, which is why you count by 49s. It's very clear how to count them in the book of Leviticus. Very super clear on how to count them. And so the 50th year, being the first year, which is how you count by 49s, will be the year 6028, which began on March 17th of this year and will end on March 16th of next year. We call this year 2026, and that's fine, but it's actually the year 2025. It's the year 2025 until January 1st, December the 31st. as it were. But this is a fake calendar that we're on. It has no rhyme or reason. However, God is still using it. That's why Jesus was conceived on Christmas Day. So he's still using the Gregorian, or it lines up to the Gregorian, but we have to just keep watching. So let's see here. See if I can find the word question as I'm scrolling down. Online Warriors for Christ. He says, or she says, I agree 100%. May our dear Lord and Savior Jesus make his last call and take us to him. All the glory to Jesus and him alone. I can't see, and if I put my glasses on, you're going to get this big circle thing because I have the light in front of me, so the green screen does the best it can, but it's not great. I really need to be in a completely dark room with just the light, but it's daytime, and it's not going to happen that way. So, all right, let's see here. Question. A while back, you were talking about August the 15th. Is there still something about that date? That is the date that Jesus was baptized. What's incredible about it is that he was baptized in 26 AD. This is the year 2026. I know it's 2025, but the numbers work that way because of the 0 year, which happened prior to Jesus being baptized. So even when Jesus was baptized, technically it's 25 AD. But because of the way things worked out with the Gregorian, we'll just say 26 AD, like it was. And this is the year 2026. It is exactly 2,000 years. It all kicks off on August 15th. That is in what? That's in 3 weeks from now, just about. And so that's when it all kicks off. Wow, is that the same? Yeah. So that's why August the 15th is super important. I personally would think that we wouldn't be here for that period of time because I was talking with, I'm in the chat group with David the Watchman, Matt from Billboard for Christ, DJ, and God's Land Down Under. Brett from God's Land Down Under. We're all talking about this, and David said something profound. David and I haven't been on there a lot, but I've been watching their comments, kind of eavesdropping, of course, and they were in there. And David said something pretty profound in that what if the Antichrist were going to do some kind of a ritual on August the 15th to overshadow what Jesus did 2,000 years ago? And I was like, oh, because I believe that the reason Judas hung himself and his side was gashed open, and why it was so important for the Bible to even talk about that was because Satan was imitating what Jesus did on the cross, muddying the waters to say, hey, this is Judas. He's the guy we're talking about. He's the Messiah, the son of perdition. And so I wonder if we have to be gone by August 15th because this is Satan's time. This will be the time where Judas Iscariot comes back, gets baptized, and they'll see the prince of the power of the air, which can't begin until we're gone. And suddenly you see all this, AI stuff going on, and this is my son in whom I what the same comment, and people be like, oh, wait a minute, that's the Messiah, and they'll be following Judas Iscariot. There's going to be a great lie that comes out, huge lie. Here's what I know in talking to Brett, with all of the stuff that's going on, right now, there's going to come a moment here very soon where nobody can say they were eating and drinking and marrying and giving in a marriage, right? That day is about over. And that's exactly what we see written in the Bible as to indicate when the rapture will occur. It was almost like a forethought saying, hey, watch for that. Watch for that just in the days of Noah, because you'll know the times, because there's coming a moment where they can't do that anymore. So that's another reason why the rapture is very close, very, very close. Let's see, question. I'm sorry, I can barely see. That's what I'm asking too about where Ty Green, is that what gets his date seems to be based where stars alignment for the 9th of Av. Again, you can't trust the star alignment 100%. If you want to trust the star alignments, go watch the channel Trevor Woods. I found another channel, and he's been emailing me back and forth, and he's found some kind of a pattern of 33s. He's trying to explain it to me. I'm not quite getting it yet. As a matter of fact, his last email said, "I don't think you're quite understanding what I'm saying." Um, and so I'm going to make a video after this. I'm going to go get some lunch, and then I'm going to make a video after this showing you his YouTube. It's Jorka. Here, let me put it on here. I don't know how to add it, but this is how you spell it. Jorka. I hate to hit this button because then I'm going to lose. Oh no. Am I going to lose, or is it going to jump me to the bottom? No, it didn't. Okay. So the comments down at the bottom, I don't see it yet because I've held the comments up so I can find all the word question. Very good channel, very small channel. What I do, I appreciate anyone who goes in and looks at the math. And I've watched most of his stuff. Very smart gentleman, and he sees patterns in numbers. Very awesome channel. I have a lot of respect for anyone who really attempts to set out and say, for example, it's the moon, and here I can prove it. And they give you a little segment of time. I'm like, that segment of time might work now, but if you put that amongst the entire year, it doesn't. Just like I said, you can't use Aries and the sliver of the moon when the sun reaches Aries because you're a month off. While that was true, possibly back in Jesus' time, it's not now. There's a thing called the precession of the sun. The sun has moved out of its place by 30 days from back then. So no, it's not. It's not accurate to say that it's when the sun is in Aries because what was correct 2,000 years ago is not correct now. Now it's the sun in the fish in Pisces. And actually, to be quite frank, the dawning of the age of Aquarius has already happened. So now it's the sun in Aquarius. So it's moving. And it does that on purpose because it tells a beautiful story of God with man, God, the planet being judged when the sun was in the horns of the bull during the time of Noah. It talks about Abraham when the sun was in the heart of Taurus. And then it goes through to Aries in the ram, the time that Jesus died for our sins. And then it goes all the way through Pisces in this time. And now it's in the age of Aquarius, going to town, find the man, bearing a picture of water. We're in that time. Like it's already began to be in that. So we're like at the door. Is David in here? Says hi, David the watchman. David's in here. Hi, David. What an awesome feller. So he's going to make, I'm going to give it away, David, I'm sorry, but he is going to make a video here very soon. He does such great work, very, very intricate mathematical work. He does his historical research um, through the Book of Enoch, and I like the Legend of the Jews because it even gives the hair color of Noah in that it tells us that and Noah was not a 6 foot tall man. He was a tall man. He was big. He was very strong. He had skin that was so white you could see his blood flowing through his veins. That's what gave him the red hue. His hair was white, 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 and his eyes were so bright it would light up a room. You've met those kind of people. That DNA still exists today. Where I have kind of bluish green, muddy eyes, but his eyes, and you've seen those people. It looks like they light up a room. Their eyes are so blue, it's incredible. So that the DNA traits that existed on the ark, of course, are all of us. All of us that are walking around today came off that ark. And he's been studying a little bit about Ham, which is very interesting. And so Ham might have had some Nephilim DNA, and that's how the Nephilim made it through the flood. But that's David's stuff, not mine. It's very interesting as he discusses that. So it's going to be his video coming up is going to be very interesting what he talks about. All right. Let's get on to the next question. Do, do, do. Let's see here. Question, what kind of math are you going to do when you get to heaven? I am just going to go to the timeline room. I'm more interested in calendars. I am calendrical. I believe that the timeline is static. It doesn't budge. David and I, through his studies and through mine, again, I built my timeline before I ever knew about Enoch. It was amazing when I read about Enoch and it lined up. The only date that doesn't line up for me in the book of Enoch, from what I have found, is the 3rd of Av being new wine. I show it basically at sunset on the 2nd of Av. But David's timeline and mine are identical, except off by one day. His day is, let's see, what would the 26th be for David? So for David, today, I would think, and I'm not speaking for him, but if we're a day off, today would be the day the dove and the raven were sent out from the ark. And the raven never returned, but the dove would return because couldn't find rest for the sole of her feet. She was drawn back into the ark. For me, that was yesterday. The next event that I have coming up will be Tu B'Av on, and again, I'll go over this in the video I'm about to make. It's a lot easier to show it than to talk about it, but July 30th is Tu B'Av for me. I would imagine that July 31st is Tu B'Av for David. Again, we're a day off, and that's too close. You know what I'm saying? That would be for me, and how I would reconcile that is the Gregorian calendar is wrong by one day over the course of 5,000 years, and David might have discovered that. So David might actually be right based on that one day being wrong every 5,000 years. So that might be how we're off. Let's see here. Lee Brainerd says the blood moons come all the time and they don't mean anything. Question, do you guys say, what do you guys say to that? And the answer is, again, I won't compete against another channel. I think Lee Brainerd does a lot of amazing work. Just because I disagree with what somebody says doesn't mean I disagree with all of what he says. That portion I disagree with, and the reason is because that's what the moon is for. That's its purpose. It's not to determine when the head of the year is or when the head of a month is. It doesn't do that. That's not its purpose. Its purpose is the blood moons and the eclipses are warnings to Israel. And it is telling that, I think it's August 12th, there will be a blood moon just 3 days before the 2,000th year anniversary of Jesus being baptized. That is, for me, incredible. And it might mean that 3 days prior, on August the 12th, is the rapture, and 3 days later is when Satan sends down whatever AI from heaven to say, this is my son, the son of perdition, Judas Iscariot. The Antichrist is Judas Iscariot. David the Watchman has also done a lot of work on that. It just dawned on me one day. I put that video out a year ago. You can go back in my YouTube and see it, where I said Judas Iscariot is the son of perdition. A year ago, it just made sense. Everyone's like, well, the Antichrist is going to get a great head wound. I'm like, all right, wait a second. How much is going on midway of the tribulation? The devil's going to go in, or the Antichrist is going to go in, proclaim himself to be God, right? He's going to be indwelt by the devil. The two witnesses are going to die. All the Jews that believe on Jesus will flee to Petra, 1/3 of them. All of these things are happening at this time. At the same time, he's going to die he's going to die at the same time. The two, it just doesn't say that in the Bible. That's what people infer, but that's not what it says. No, Judas Iscariot died 2,000 years ago, and he's going to rise when the dead in Christ rise, when Moses rises. It's appointed a man but wants to die. And the way I read that passage is, you die to Christ or you die and go to the lake of fire. That's your choice. It's free will. You choose that. What's the point of even having a YouTube channel and make the statement that you die? My headphones lit up. Oh yeah, you die physically, and then How are you going to say that you come back to life? And what's the point of saying, come to Jesus? Oh, it's predestination. He's going to do it anyway. What's the point of even doing any of this? God's got it. He's got it covered. Predestination. You were always going to become saved. Doesn't matter. Nobody needs to be out here doing any of this. That's from the devil, and understanding a misunderstanding of predestination, and that is that while God does choose, that's for sure true. You have free will, and you're not going to show up in heaven. Yeah, I took my free will and I chose him. No, you were on an abandoned or deserted island, and a plane flew over and gave you everything necessary for salvation. While some of you thought, I'm on a deserted island, but I don't need anything. I can fish. I've got a coconut tree here. I can drink water from the coconut. I don't need anything from that airplane dropping a care package for me. I don't need that. Or you can walk over to the care package, and inside there'll be instructions, a life raft to boat on out of there, food, water, enough for your trip to get back to the mainland. And that's salvation. You choose to get onto that lifeboat. You have that choice. Of course, salvation was in the lifeboat. Now there's a perceived salvation of the coconut tree and the shelter and the fish that you can catch. That's perceived salvation, but it's not. That is the church working their way towards salvation. They're on a deserted island and they think everything's just fine. This entire planet is a deserted island, and God is sending you all of us. He pours out his spirit on all flesh. He's poured it out on everyone. Now you choose. You choose. You take that cup or you don't. But you didn't do anything. You didn't do anything. You just poured his spirit out on all flesh. Predestination is a misunderstanding. It is an excuse to blame God when you get to the lake of fire and say, he didn't choose me anyway. So now you can blame God when you're in hell. He didn't choose me. I wasn't one of the chosen. So here I am sitting in hell. Come on. That's not true. Everybody has the opportunity. If not, what's the point of any of these YouTube channels to help one another, to speak to one another, to talk about this stuff? Do we all have it right? No, but every single one of us that is telling you about the free gift of salvation, we all do. And that's why you'll never hear me talk about any other channel. I won't do it, except for Kelly. Him, I'm just kidding. No, that guy's actually turned around a little bit. He still does a few things like, I don't even want to get into it, but he seems to have been humbled a little bit, which is nice to see. He's such a good researcher. Absolutely love his work. Once you can get past the pride part, he does really good work. I really enjoy his studies. Fantastic studies. How can you did I put that on there? Yeah. How can you take the book of Jasher seriously when the oldest known copy is from 1625 AD and there are only 2 verses mentioned in the Old Testament? Because the Bible says so. That's how I take it seriously. Is it not written in the book of Jasher? If the Bible references the book of Jasher, it is a decent historical book to read. You say that it was written in 1625. But then you're saying that the Bible was written after 1625 because it mentions the book of Jasher when it was actually written, began being written after Jesus died on the cross in 30 AD. So to make this statement is a misnomer. It is not a factual statement. The book of Jasher had to have been around before the Bible was written for Jesus to reference the book of Jasher. So while there might be copies, there are a lot of copies of the Bible. And so most of them are just straight wrong. They've taken out so much of the Bible, and there will be a penalty to pay for that. But God's word will make it through. As hard as Satan tries to quiet the word, he cannot. There will always be a group of people who will adhere to holding together the word, good, believing, faithful people. So I think that's not an accurate statement, just in the onset of it. Oh, I hate it when it does this. Hold on. Let's see here. Online Warriors for Christ. I don't see David in here. He should be a moderator. Rapture Revelation 3:23. Let's see here. Looking for the word question. Oh, here's one. You already started out with the bad question, but I'll answer it anyway. Amir Sarf, I can't say his name, says not knowing the day and the hour keeps us wholly pure. He reminds us of how crazy we can be 2 weeks before Christmas. If we truly knew the date, could it be damaging in your opinion? Yeah, he's probably right. We don't know the date. I don't know the date. He doesn't know the date. Nobody on planet Earth knows the date at this point, because Amos 3:7 didn't say, I'm going to tell Repo Man, I'm going to tell this person, I'm going to tell that person, and they're going to tell you. No, that date is going to come up, and we're all going to jump out here and make videos, and I'm going to come on here. This date just came from God, whether it be Damascus or the waves and the seas roaring or something major, we're going to know right at that point, I think, and God will reveal it to all of those of us who are watching and waiting patiently for that date. We're all waiting. So yeah, I believe he's right at this point. If we knew 5 years ago, would I have warned of the next? And I think that was important. That's why I don't get mad at missed dates. Would I have warned of the next stepping stone across the raging river, the next stepping stone, the next, hey, look at this, hey, look at this, this is, and I still do it. I'm still going to keep doing it. I'm still going to go to the timeline, look at the next event that comes up. And I never say that it's not going to happen before that. It says the next event is July 30th, right? But it could happen before July 30th. I don't know, but I still feel like there's going to be a notification. That's what Amos 3:7 says. It's very clear. So let's see here. Fun fact. Looking for the word question. 221, 230. I'm falling behind. All right. Question. Do you believe zombies will be in the Great Tribulation? Verses like Zechariah 14:12 and Revelation 9:6. Yeah, you are finding the verses where the dead rise. And that's why I've been saying, but who was I talking to this? I'm in two different chat groups. One was Spinebreaker and the other one with David and Brett and those guys and gals. And I was talking, and what's the point of for example, of let the wicked continue doing wickedly and the good continue to do good? What would be the point of resurrecting someone like what's the guy that killed all the Jews? Hitler. What would be absolutely the point of raising him? He's going to continue to do wickedly. Why bring him back? Would it be possible that the only ones that come back were the ones who were workers of their salvation, tribulation saints? They all get a chance, just like they did when Jesus went to Hades to lead captivity captive. They all saw him there. To 2,000 years, for the past 2,000 years, nobody's seen him. We've heard about him, but the bride has believed without seeing. But Thomas in the upper room had to see it. He says it, I must see it in order to believe it. And I think that is indicative of every single tribulation saint. And when did they see him, aside from thinking they did when they were in church and doing all the right things and working so hard for their salvation and staying good? And I still get the comments still come in, well, you can't, and they try to justify it. It's amazing to me how hard they work to justify works-based salvation. Well, you can get saved, but there's no formula to do it. Nobody ever said there was, but you keep saying that we're saying that there is. There's no formula. It's heart. It's your heart. The heart, the true, the Bible says it, a broken and contrite heart I will not deny. Heart, he's talking about your emotion. There's a moment in time where not the church, but the bride or the elders, we're called elders. There's a moment in time where you broke down. You knew that you were destitute. You knew, and we all deserve hell. We know that. But the church doesn't. They are just walking along saying, I'm good. I'm just like the rich man. There's so many examples. So, there's this formula that these people make the statement that, yeah, you can, and then you can go do whatever you want. Whoever said that? Whoever said that? Was it Paul that says, yeah, all I can do everything, but it's not prudent that I do. But he said, I can do whatever I want. And I say the same thing. You can do whatever you want, but it's going to prove not by virtue of your salvation, but by virtue of who you are. If you truly had a broken and contrite heart, a come to Jesus moment where you cried out and said, I am destitute, I am broken, I am done, I am not going to make it to heaven without Jesus. There was a moment in time. Are these things still lit up? Yeah. There was a moment in time where you gave up, you surrendered, you gave it all to Jesus. You can't lose that. There is no losing that. But the ones that don't have it will always go up against once saved, always saved, because they don't understand it. And why don't they understand it? Because they don't have it. When you know, you know. That's the end of it. When you know, you know. And I will constantly get comments like, well, that you don't have a license to sin. If you say that, I already know you're a tribulation saint because you have no idea what happened to the true believer. The true believer knows that they can't add to what Jesus did. The true believer knows that God came to Moses and said, strike the rock. That was Jesus on the cross. One time and one time only. He came back to Moses and said, go speak to the rock. And what did Moses do? He didn't speak to the rock. He didn't ask for salvation. He walked up and didn't hit the rock once, he hit it twice. That is a picture of the church. That's a picture of a tribulation saint. Those people who go to church and think that they have to do something, they are not happy just speaking. We just speak to Jesus. We just pray to him. We just know that he's the only way we're getting to heaven, and we don't deserve it. But for some reason, I don't know why, but he brought me to that point where I went to my knees and I asked, you're my only hope. There is no other hope. So do you believe, so back to the zombies. So I think I got off on a tangent there. I think that, yes, I think, but these people are going to rise and they have one job to do. They've heard about all this. We know they have because of the rich man and Lazarus. There was a great chasm in between them. But the rich man couldn't even get a drop of water. He was in Hades. He wasn't coming back to see Jesus. When Jesus went there, he didn't go to that side. They didn't see him. Where did Jesus go? He went to the people who hadn't seen him but believed on God. He showed up there, says, I'm Jesus. And they had 84 hours to either believe on him or not. And after that, the same thing is going to happen. Only this time, Jesus isn't going to Hades. This time, Jesus is going to raise all of these people, and they're going to see him in the clouds. They're going to see him in the sky. And this now, after working on this for a couple of years, is the only way that this actually works biblically. This is the only way that it works, is that they rise, because that's a prerequisite. You have to see Jesus to either accept him or deny him. Choose this day whom you will serve. Choose this day whom you will follow, God or Mammon. What was the phrase exactly? Choose this day. So yes, a lot of people are going to rise, but the Hitlers, the ones that were evil and will continue to do evil, I don't think they're rising. I thought at one point that everyone was going to rise to get that opportunity, but that rich man, that story is too clear. He died. He had nothing to do with God his entire life. He was begging at this point to have something to do with God. And then he was begging to go back. Can I just go back and warn them? Yeah, good one. Yeah, yeah. We know exactly what you're trying to do. And the answer was no. Where you are, you're never coming back out of it. He was already in the lake of fire. And so, in my opinion, the evil people, and you know they are, they're just flat evil. They are not looking whatsoever to God. They have no fear whatsoever. And they are going to die and not come back to life. But I think that the church, the tribulation saints. I call them the church because they are a part of the church, but they're tribulation saints, and they will come back, and they will have, how long, I don't know. But just like striking the rock twice, Jesus went to the cross one time. They used their works to justify everything. They're not evil people. They just don't get it. They just don't. I can sit here all day long and tell you that I am saved and I can never lose that salvation no matter what I do. But I'm telling you, the Holy Spirit lives inside of me, so I can't do evil stuff. I could never do what Hitler did. You know what I'm saying? It's not in us to be able to do such a thing. All right, let me get off of that. Let me get down to the next question. Oh, I wrote the word. Okay. Yeah, David is okay, there's David, the watchman. I wanted to make sure that he was a moderator just to keep things straight in here, because David will not play around. Question: can you explain the difference between the Jews, Israel as a nation, the Israelites, when it comes down to Bible prophecy? I don't want to. I don't want to, because you're getting into an arena that is none of our business. It is just like trying to figure out who's saved and who's not saved, based on action. You can't stand back and see a saved person that cheats on his wife and say they're unsaved because they cheated on their wife. You can't do that, because that person is saved, period. How their heart feels after they do something like that is indicative as to whether or not they're saved, but that's their heart and you don't know it. I know this conversation right here, and it is quicksand, and I'm not going near it, to say the people that are there are not Jews and that the real Jews. What you're saying is that Israel was not founded in 1948, and we're nowhere near the rapture, because that's our countdown to the rapture, is Israel being formed in 1948. I'm not saying, is it Madison's? I'm not saying that you're going down this path, but you're hearing a lot about this, and maybe you're questioning it, and it's quicksand. Stay away from it. Don't involve yourself in that. Trust God, that God knows. You read it very clearly in Revelation. Those people who say they are Jews and are not, they are the synagogue of Satan. Let God. In the meantime, what do? You pray for Israel. You pray for the people who belong in Israel, and you don't question who is in Israel, because what finally happens is you have a whole group of people hating Israel because of one excuse or another. Are they real Jews? Are they not? Who cares? None of our business. Let God. He's the one in charge. Don't concern yourself with any of that. It's quicksand. Stay away from it. I stay away from it. I don't concern myself with any of that. Ooh, Wayne's here. Hi, Wayne. Wayne, we are the overcomers. I am not even going to touch on the subject of Wayne. Wayne is as an amazing channel. We are the overcomers. You should subscribe to Wayne, because that's his lane. He should stay out of my lane, which is count. He doesn't. I'm just kidding with him. But Wayne does an amazing job, and he has a how do you say, near-death experience, because he actually died and he went to heaven and he saw stuff that I've never seen, and that's amazing. And he's been able to articulate very well. While Man, I don't like saying that we don't see exactly the same thing. We are so close. We're so close on the two issues. I say that the second the rapture occurs, the tribulation saints, or the church that believes in works, is going to kneel down and become saved. He says they were already saved, and they're just a different group. In saying that, Wayne, am I understanding you correctly? If you say it that way, that's kind of why I lean a little bit towards your way. When you say that they are already saved, we are also saying that they cannot go into any part of the tribulation, and they must be taken out before the wrath of God, because Jesus is the rock and will not be struck twice. And because they did in their works, that's what they've done. They've struck the rock twice. They have not only believed on Jesus, but they've also added to it by believing in works. But it also said, it would make sense that they cannot go into the wrath of God, into the tribulation. And I think the wrath of God begins with trumpets. I think the seals are not the wrath of God. When we read the seals, they appear to be more man-made. I mean, you see the horsemen riding and the horrible things happening, but you could get man to do all those things, right? So in my opinion, not only does the bride take off first while we're still alive, all the tribulation saints, the churchgoers, the workers of their salvation will die and go to heaven throughout a period of time. But in my opinion, has to be before the 7 years starts. My opinion, which means the seals will be opened up very quickly. And then but I definitely not here. You wouldn't be able to hear, but I definitely would enjoy hearing how long you think the tribulation saints will be here. I haven't quite caught that on your channel yet, how long you think that is. But if we're going to say the bride can't be here because that's striking the rock twice, then we also have to say that the tribulation saints can't be here and suffer the wrath of God because that would be striking the rock twice. They cannot suffer because Jesus did all that suffering for us on the cross, not just us, but also the tribulation saints as well. Maybe I'm wrong. And you know what? I've been wrong before and I'll be wrong again. So I'm always open. Hey, when it comes to the timeline, I believe I'm 100% accurate. Maybe a day off. David might have something there just because of the day wrong in the Gregorian calendar over 5,000 years, but that's just me. I have been following. Did I put it up there? Yeah, I have been following some other watchers, and some of them claim I can't see, so you have to excuse me. I can read just fine. I just can't see. Some of them claim there are several more significant signs that need to happen prior to the rapture, meaning that fulfillment of these. They are reading the book of Mark and they're reading the book of Matthew. And so, and John, quite frankly, is written to the 144,000, I believe. And so read the book of Luke. The only thing we're left waiting to see, from my opinion, is the waves and seas roaring. There's nothing else. Now, if you read the book of Mark, which is written predominantly to the tribulation saints, there's a whole laundry list of things that they're going to see. They're going to see this great falling away or the rapture. They're going to see the man of sin being revealed, or Judas Iscariot coming back to life because the rapture's happened, the dead in Christ and Judas Iscariot and Moses rise. Some to everlasting life, some to shame, and some to everlasting damnation. And so, because some of those people that rise that were going to the church and have their works will not accept, they will never accept Christ. They will say, I still have to do something. I've got to do something. And they just won't accept the blood and the blood alone. And they will go into the lake of fire as a result of that. So just be careful what you're reading. Look at Luke and see what we have left. The only thing I see that we have left is the waves and the seas roaring, and we are in, from what every other studies I've been watching, and not my strong point, but we're in Jeremiah 49. Jeremiah 50 is after the rapture, so we're literally right there at it. All right, let's see here. What does this one say? And I hope, David, you're getting any silly questions. It looks like you are. I haven't run across any silly questions yet. Why don't you apply the 364-day year to the Jubilee cycle? You appear to be using a solar 365.2422, you missed that, day year to Jubilee cycle, but utilizing a 364-day static calendar on a year-by-year basis. I have explained this until I'm blue in the face. 364 is identical to 365.2422 days. You are counting a day as being 24 hours. I am counting a day to be 23 hours and 56 minutes. It is a sidereal day, which means at the end of 1 year exactly, my sidereal day is 364. Your solar day is 365.2422. They are identical in every way. They're identical. I'm measuring a fulcrum point on Earth to a distant star in Ursa Minor. You are measuring a solar year based on a fulcrum point returning back facing the sun every 24 hours. Think about the Earth. I can't even show my hands up here. The Earth, the sun, and a distant star. At the distant star, we are spinning 364 times for the Earth to return to its original position. And that does not apply to our sun in relationship to the constellations. It is a different math. And but a solar day is 24 hours. And that's why you have to add 4 minutes per day to keep solar noon, solar noon. For me, it's very simple, but explaining it is very difficult. But just to put it bluntly, 365.2422 days is the same exact amount of time as 364 sidereal days. No change. The Earth returns back to its original position while counting to Ursa Minor or counting to our sun. They are the same exact math. So there is not 1.2422 days you have to take into account each year and add it up over time. It doesn't exist. It's a fragment of time that they steal each day, 4 minutes per day to be exact, to keep us from being with the sun being up at midnight. They have no choice. Nothing nefarious about it. They're just doing it because they have to. We have to adhere to a solar day, but the Earth actually does only spin 364 times in relationship to Ursa Minor. I hope that clarified that. You can go study it. I spent years studying that to come to the understanding. And every time I came to an understanding, it fits perfectly on the timeline. Whoops, I went too far. I don't know if I can go back. Oh no. Okay, hold on a second. I did it again. Hold on. Stop doing that. Okay, let me see if I can do this. There we go. Repo Dude, always good to see you. Always good to see you on. Did you mention not long ago that the tribulation would have to start by a certain date of your timeline or your timeline falls apart? So the timeline never falls apart because it's built on a day of equal parts, and it will continue on. This timeline will continue on until the end of the world. It's applicable to the beginning of the world, and that's because the day of equal parts is on March 16th. It will always be on March 16th. It never stops being on March 16th. Anyone that wants to study that will go into time and date and see very clearly that it is, in fact, on March 16th. And that's where I count from. That's why March 17th is the first day of the year, because March 16th at high noon, by that time, they know the day is, or actually even by the evening, they know that that day is exactly 12 hours long. And then there is a star that skirts along the horizon in Israel at exactly the star Algenib at exactly 5:45 p.m., letting them know that March 16th is over, and that's the two witnesses, by the way, that we're looking for. We're not looking for two guys standing out there with monoculars trying to spot the silver moon. It is actually the day of equal parts and that star that skirts along the horizon. Those are your two witnesses, and that happens every year on March 16th, irregardless. I love doing that now, since somebody pointed it out. Regardless, it happens every year. They make fun of me about it in the chat room. Do you believe that Brett and David make fun of me about that? Irregardless. Brett's a word warrior, so you can't get away with anything with that guy. If you say something, he just writes paragraph after paragraph. Why did you say that? That can't be right. Look at the, I'm like, it was just an idea, Brett. Don't beat me up. Anyway, so where was I? No, my timeline does not fall apart. My timeline stands. We are in a Jubilee year. I figured that out mathematically. So yes, the rapture has to happen this year, in my opinion. Not thus saith the Lord. And I believe it has to happen before the Feast of Trumpets, because the Feast of Trumpets, I think, kicks off the 7-year tribulation. And I think the 6 seals, maybe they're opened up in the 6 days, or maybe they're all opened up in 6 hours. Maybe it's really, really fast. I don't know. But man, we're running out of time. I thought there was one open every month 6 months ago, but that didn't happen, did it? All right. Hi, Mike. Hi, Barbara. Let's see here. Where are we at? Missed the live streams, Repo. Glad you're back. Oh, question. Where's your to be of? Well, to be simply means 15. That's what to be means, 15. And to be will be of 15. There's a to be every month, by the way. The month of Av simply has a to be as well, like any other month, because to be means 15. But to be of means the 15th of Av, and that's July 30th. I show it as July 30th. I think David would show that as July 31st. I'm not sure. All right. Question part 2. Did I miss part 1? What did I do? Could take up to another year to get through all of them. However, other watchers are stating that the rapture is basically standing at the door. I'm praying the latter is true. I missed something. Can't take up to another year. We are in the Jubilee year. I have gone back to the very beginning and counted every single year and applied a Gregorian year to it. Jesus, from creation to Jesus' birth is 4,000 years. Exactly. And from Jesus on the cross to the midpoint of the tribulation, when everybody that's going to be saved is saved, that's when they're all saved by that point. Who are they? They're the bride, they're the tribulation saint, and they're the 1/3 of the Jews that escaped to Petra. After that, it's given over to Satan completely. You take the mark. Now, there's going to be stragglers that refuse to take the mark, but for the most part, the bride's in heaven, the tribulation saint, a great multitude no man can count, is in heaven, and the Jews have escaped to Petra, 1/3 of them. Satan can't get at them. They're already saved because they finally believe on Jesus, the one that they pierced. That happens mid-tribulation. We know that it happens because they will be protected out in the wilderness for 1,260 days. That's exactly what the Bible says. So all of the salvation is done by that point. The last 3.5 years are bad. And there's a very big warning. And your salvation now depends on your belief on the blood of Christ and in action. Don't take the mark, because the mark comes out after 2030. The mark comes out after the mid-trib. The mark does not come out. Nobody's heads getting, there might be people's heads getting cut off because they're Christian, but not because they refuse the mark. That mark does not come out until mid-tribulation. That's when it comes out. All right, let me keep going. Oh, I hate it when I do that. Oh, there we go. Oof. Looking for the word question. We are the overcomers. I'm glad to see you here. It must be, what time is it? He's in Australia, like Brett. Is that like 5 a.m.? It's like 5 a.m. Wayne, what are you doing here? I'm literally at nighttime going to sleep, and Wayne comes on with his lives. I'm like, hello. I have to watch his video the next day because it's like late for me. Why is Australia over there? It's crazy. Welcome all. If you have questions, please start with question in all caps. Mike is old again. You see how David picks on me? See how then I pick on him, and he's like, oh, so you want to pick on somebody? This is what I get. I deserve this because I picked on David so many times, and now that's what I deserve. Question, how do you think, he's so old, how do you think, I still, like 20 years old was yesterday. How did 61 happen? Why are we still here? Why haven't we been raptured yet? Because that date written in stone hasn't come yet. That's why. James Hembry, how do you think we will feel in heaven? I don't know how you're going to feel, but I am going to be young again with all of my hair and strong and superhero powers. It's going to be fantastic. I will rule with an iron rod. I will uphold the laws that Jesus has put in place with impunity here on earth during those 1,000 years. I will be compassionate because I will remember how hard this was, and I will rule with an iron rod during that time, fairly and justly, just like my Lord and Savior has instructed us to be. Will it be pure euphoria or just compared to our best day on earth? It will be amazing. It will be more real than the table in front of you now. It'll be amazing, fantastic. What you see here as your best day will pale by comparison to what you're going to see in heaven. It's going to be absolutely amazing. You just wait and see. It is going to be something else. Question: what do you think about the 10 virgin rapture? They were waiting for the bridegroom. Their marriages were arranged. That's going off the deep end. I have no idea what you're talking about. These are not virgins. They are the bridesmaids. They are not waiting to get married. There's nothing about that verse that talks about a marriage, aside from Jesus being called the bridegroom, which means he already has his bride. He could not be called the bridegroom until he already had his bride. So the passage that people keep linking to, the 5 with oil were the bride. They are not the bride. They are bridesmaids. They all fell asleep. Every single one of them, all 10 of them fell asleep. The 5 with oil are the tribulation saints. And it almost appears as though Jesus comes back to grab them pretty quickly after he's taken his bride. He's taken his bride, and he comes back very quickly to get the 5 with oil. And with the 5 with no oil return, depart from me, for I never knew you. To say I never knew you, I think Wayne taught on this the other night. I don't recall who did, but to say I never knew you would be a lie if he knew them and they were, maybe Wayne didn't teach on that. Somebody did, and I liked the teaching. It made sense. And it says that if Jesus said, I never knew you, it would indicate that you just aren't saved yet, and you will become saved at that point when you have oil and he returns for you. But the 5 with no oil, depart from me, for I never knew you. That would have to be talking to the Jews. Depart from me, for I never knew you. Because in 3.5 years after that, according to Hosea 6:2, after 2 days, he will revive us. Those will be the third of the Jews that escaped to Petra. And on the 3rd day, he will raise us up. The Jews will rise to go into the millennium in the year 2033. Like I've said before, everybody's comparing the two, and it boggles my mind in that, this thing it's doing that again. And it boggles my mind in that Jacob's trouble and Daniel's 70th week are not the same thing. Jacob's trouble, he was in trouble with his brother. He ran for 20 years from his brother. He worked from when he was 77 until he was 84, when he married Leah instead of Rachel. 1 week later, he marries Rachel. He works for another 7 years, even though he has both of them. We know he has both of them because we discover that Rachel's barren. How do you know that? How do we know that Rachel's barren? Because they're married. They're not some premarital stuff going on there. No, 7 days later, he married Rachel. And then at the end of the 7 years, he makes yet another deal. He's probably making these deals because he doesn't want to go back and face his brother. That's his trouble. His trouble is not the 7 years he worked for Laban, and then the 7 more years he worked for Laban, and then the 6 more years he worked to get the cattle for a full 20 years. No, he's 77 when he gets there. He's 97 when he leaves. When he leaves with all the best cattle because that's how God provided for him. He leaves with his 2 wives and their brides. What do they call the concubines? I don't know what the other 2 are called. And all of his children. And he leaves. And now he has to face his brother Esau. That's Jacob's trouble. It's a 20-year event. But for the very sake of the elect, God shortens the time. Israel was attacked in 2023 on October the 7th, Shemini Atzeret. Exactly 10 years later, it matches perfectly to the Jubilee cycle from when Adam sinned. And it lands also in 2033. It's perfect. It's exact. So Daniel's 70th week begins now. It begins very soon for those 7 years to begin, which I think historians have studied this very much, a lot, and they have determined that the tribulation will end in some year on the Day of Atonement, which is September the 24th, the day of the Revelation 12 sign, the day Jesus began his ministry. That's when it will end. Just go back 7 years. It's that simple. The Day of Atonement, September the 24th in 2026, is when Jesus began his ministry exactly 2,000 years ago. Exactly. If it didn't and like I said, that's what will fall apart if the rapture does not occur by the Day of Atonement on September the 24th. Everything falls apart in that aspect. The timeline, no, it stands. It doesn't change. It never moves. It's not, a rapture is not required to prove the timeline at all. But this math that I did from when Israel was attacked in 2023 up to the point where it's over, they go into the millennium in 2033, matches identically to Daniel's 70th week, starting here in September, which is the tribulation, and ending in September in 2033. Remember, they were attacked on October 7th, which is Shemini Atzeret, which is 8 days after Jesus was born on September the 30th. That's the first time he shed his blood for mankind. That happened on October the 7th. I think that's when Jacob's trouble began. And the time was cut short to 10 years instead of 20. And if you think about it, each segment was for Jacob was 7, 7, and 6. Cut it in half. It's 3.5, 3.5, and 3. What do we see from October 7th of 2023? 3 years. That's the 6 years cut in half. That comes to October 7th of 2026. Then go 3.5 years. What do we see? We see the Jews fleeing to Petra. Then go another 3.5 years. What do you see? We see the millennium started. It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. Mathematically, it's perfect. Just from that standpoint, that's what I understand it. All right. Let me go on. Oh, I forgot the cursor there again. I did it again. I keep doing the same thing over and over. Come on. Oh, there we go. Okay. Let's find the next word. Question. You all are communicating back and forth in here. It looks like everybody's being really nice. I like that. I don't like fighting with other Christians. Your fight should be with non-Christians. You shouldn't even fight with tribulation saints. You shouldn't wait. Revelation Watchman 777 is in here. According to your timeline, August 15th will be exactly 2,000 years after Jesus was baptized. That's pretty exciting. Yeah, he does a lot of, hopefully you guys are subscribed to him as well. He does different style of math, and I'm always very intrigued by it. His work. I enjoy his work. And yes, and it's so easily provable. It's so easily provable that Jesus was baptized in 26 AD, and here we are in the year 2026. And mathematically, yeah, that's 2,000 years later. And August the 15th is a little one. 40 days later is the Day of Atonement, when Jesus was about 30 years old, just like the Bible says. And 3 days later, on the third day, he turned water to wine, just 2 days before his birthday. And then on his birthday, September the 29th at night, September the 30th, it just matches perfectly, absolutely perfectly. All right. Oh, I did it again. What? Sometimes I wonder about my own brain. Let's see here. Nobody's got a question. We're out of questions. 3:20, 3:34. Oh my goodness, I am way behind. How many people? 364. Let's see here. Looking for the word question still. Yes, I don't discuss suicide that much. I don't get much into that topic. Number one, Judas Iscariot did that because he was trying to replace Jesus. I know it says that he felt terrible and all that, but he is the son of perdition, and he was just trying to muddy the waters for what Jesus was going to do on the cross, and he was buried, and he's going to come back to life after 2,000 years, 1,997 years. Do you think the rapture this year, and why do you think it is? Where were you? I did so much math to show that. Do I have to repeat all that again? Go back and listen before. It's because it's a Jubilee year. This is the year 6028. It is from creation to Jesus' birth, 4,000 years, and from the cross to the middle of the tribulation, it is 2,000 years. And that, it doesn't say anywhere, I have not found, and nobody's been able to bring me a verse that says Jesus is going to set foot on the Mount of Olives after two. It's what they're getting that from is Hosea 6:2. After 2 days, he will revive them, and on the third day he will raise them up. That is simply talking to the Jews will be believing on Jesus halfway through in the year 2030, and then we'll escape to Petra, and then in 2033 he will raise the Jews to go into the millennium. If somebody can point me to a verse that says Jesus steps foot on the Mount of Olives exactly 2,000 years after the cross, I'd like to see it. I haven't seen that yet. Oh, let's see here. Let's look for the word question. Question. Second Thessalonians sounds like we will be here for the tribulation, at least a small part of it. You are correct. If you are a Second Thessalonians person, you are a tribulation saint. First Thessalonians is speaking to the elders, to the bride. Second Thessalonians is not a continuation of the letter. It's speaking to a completely different group. It is speaking to the tribulation saints. That verse resonates. There you go. Takes me a second sometimes. That verse resonates to a tribulation saint. They grasp onto that one. They hang on to it really tight, and they say the church is going to have this great falling away, and we're going to see the son of perdition exposed. The Antichrist is going to reveal himself. And so, yes, if you were a tribulation saint, this verse would apply directly to you. That is exactly what you will see. If you are a tribulation saint, you are going to see this great falling away, i.e. the rapture, and you're going to see the Antichrist be revealed, which cannot happen until the rapture occurs because he's dead. He's Judas Iscariot. He's still in his grave over at the potter's field, the field of blood. Oh, that jumped. I hope I didn't skip anything. It's so hard to go back. Why does it jump like that? All right. Let me look for the next word question. So I want to touch on this for a moment because, yeah, we started doing a lot of math when it was possible from Apophis, but now it's too late for it to be halfway through the tribulation. And then recently, of course, we found out that the tribulation has to begin, or the rapture has to happen in a Jubilee year, which just began. Well, it began in March, but it almost 6 months ago, right? And so we were doing a lot of math from Apophis, but it turns out that if you go 1 hour, 1 day, 1 month, and 1 year from Apophis, you land on May 14th, May 15th, in the year 2030. Apophis, you find out there's this holding back. They were prepared for an hour, a day, a month, and a year. Something to do with Apophis is a holding back or a preparedness of an entity that will begin doing whatever they do on May 15th of 2030. And by that time, the Jews that recognize who Jesus is will rise up and go to Petra. in 2030. So mathematically, this is why we haven't left the idea of Apophis as being something, because it is something, but it is not the midpoint. The midpoint mathematically has to be in the year 2030. The Bible tells us in Hosea 6:2, after 2 days, that's 2,000 years after Jesus went to the cross, and 2,000 years after Jesus went to the cross, in 30 AD will be March 30th of 2030. That's 2,000 years. That's when the Jews will flee. And then by the time you get down to, that's April, 45 more days after that. Remember that 7 years and 45 days after Adam was in the garden, those 45 days, he sinned on Halloween. But God didn't kick him out of the garden. It's almost like an afterthought where he's like, whoa, wait a second. If he eats of the tree of life, we're going to have a problem here. He's going to live forever. We got to get him out of the garden. He does that 47 days after Adam sins. 47 days. So you have 45 days and you have 47 days for a total of 92 days. 7 years after Adam was created in the garden, and 92 days he was removed from the garden. Adam wasn't created in the garden. I meant Eve, but after he was created. 7 years and 92 days after Adam was created, he was removed from the garden. 7 years and 45 days after Adam was created, he sinned. And then 47 days later, he was removed from the garden. That's pretty compelling. If you count a Jubilee cycle from creation, you will land in 2026. Technically 2025, but that's another argument that's difficult to explain. But you'll land in 2026. If you count 7 years, if you account from when Adam sinned 7 years later, a Jubilee cycle, I've been saying this for years, it appears there are 2 Jubilee cycles running in tandem, and there are. The other Jubilee cycle will end or be at the end of the tribulation in 2033. And that tandem Jubilee cycle will cease to exist from that point. I can't find anything else mathematically that carries that Jubilee cycle any further. But the Jubilee cycle from creation to 2026 to the end of time in the year 7056, that's when it all ends. That means that mathematically there are 14 years from now to after the cleanup. I'm not saying tribulation is lasting 14 years. It's 7 years. It's Daniel's 70th week. That can't be changed. But there's this 7-year period of cleanup that we see. And then from the 7-year period of cleanup, 1,000 years Jesus is going to reign, and he's not sharing that time with anybody. A full 1,000 years will transpire, and then Satan will be loosed for a short season. And that short season happens to be also 14 years. So you see the symmetry. You see 14, 1,000, and 14. Every time, and I didn't know that. So when I started investigating the numbers, I'm like, whoa. I had it as 7 years, 1,000 years, and then 21 years. I'm like, that is not symmetrical. It doesn't make sense. Why is it landing that way? And then I found that verse in the Bible that says they have a 7-year cleanup period. They aren't cleaning up during the tribulation. There's a period of time, and it's not going to count towards Jesus' 1,000 years. But Satan will be chained for 1,000 years. Sounds like he'll either be chained, he'll be ineffective for 7 years, or he'll be chained for 1,007 years. I don't know how that works. Or if he'll be loose and allowed, he'll be restrained still for it. I don't know how that works, but the math is pointing to 14, 1,000, and 14. That's just the way the math points. But I'm not saying that the tribulation is 14 years. It's not. It's 7. It's Daniel's 70th week. I can't change my mind on that. All right. What time? 2:39? Oh, my goodness. I'm almost an hour behind. What is going on here? Let me keep scrolling. Question. Oh, there's so many questions. I can't get caught up. All right. What, as in the days of Noah, mean giants will appear? No. As in the days of Noah, they were eating and drinking and marrying and giving in marriage, and we are almost at the end of that right now. There's almost no more time for that comment to be factual, because Australia is running out of fuel faster, and other countries are running out of fuel faster than they. And for that statement to be true for all countries, not just America. We're not the only country on the planet. There are other countries that are running out of fuel. There will be no marrying and giving in a marriage, and that must apply to a worldwide event, meaning that um, there are Christians over there, and they're going to be saying, wait a minute, you said they will be eating and drinking, but I don't have the fuel to drive around the corner to a 7-Eleven. If there's a 7-Eleven in those countries, I don't know. You know what I'm saying, though? So that statement must be true for all Christians. We're coming to a point now. Stop looking at them. Oh, we have plenty of fuel in America. Well, good for you, but Australia doesn't. The fuel prices are going through the roof. There is coming a point. The wealthy are doing fine. They're still marrying, giving in marriage, and they will continue to do so for a moment. But when there's just no fuel, I don't care how rich you are, there's no fuel. And that day is quickly approaching, very quickly approaching. So that comment in the Bible of they will be eating and drinking will be null. And again, not just apply to the United States, it will apply worldwide to every Christian around the world. And you can't be in a country where there is no fuel and you can't go anywhere to a wedding and then make the statement, well, that's already happening here. You see what I'm saying? It has to be, I would imagine it would be from that one country that has it the worst. We would look to that country. Not to the United States, because, well, the richest country on the planet. We would look to one of the impoverished countries, I suppose. I'm not saying Australia is impoverished, but to one of those countries and take into account they won't. They will be like, well, there ain't nobody getting married here. How fair is that? The rapture should have happened, and they would be correct. That's why. That's how close we are. That is absolutely how close we are right now. Okay. Question. Why isn't Elijah one of the two witnesses since he was raptured? Why isn't Elijah one of the two witnesses since he was raptured? And am I correct to think that we won't be here for that? The Bible says that Elijah comes first, meaning it sounds like he'll be here before the rapture. Elijah, there will be only one human being that ever existed that will not have died and go to heaven. And that will be ultimately Enoch, because Elijah is going to die. Moses will die twice. They will both be raised after 3.5 days, 84 hours, and ascend to heaven at the end of the 3.5 years. I think they're the last ones that go to heaven. The 144,000 don't go to heaven. What you read about the 144,000 and them singing a new song, they're here on earth in that earthly temple, and they will go into the millennium to help guide these people during the millennium as well. So, was raptured. Why isn't Elijah one of the two? Why isn't Elijah one of the two witnesses? He is one of the two witnesses. I don't understand. Elijah's coming back. Again, he will die. I don't fully understand the question. Maybe it's not spelled out in order, or but Elijah's one of the two witnesses, and so is Moses. Moses will die twice. Elijah will die for the first time, and Enoch is the only one that never died. If that makes sense, he's the only one that will never have died. All right, question. Why do some say, keep your garments clean? We, the bride of Christ, are white because that is how Jesus sees us. Yeah, there is a group of people that they will gravitate towards this type of comment and justify the daily sacrifice that they have to make, the proof, the evidence that they have to have for their salvation. They're tribulation saints. That's what they are. They are tribulation saints. So there's no way, no two ways about it. That's why they gravitate towards those types of verses. But we don't fight with them. We fight with the unsaved. That's it. You should only be fighting with the unsaved. You should be planting those seeds with the unsaved so that when the rapture occurs, they know exactly what happened, and they can't be lied to by this fake son of perdition that's going to fake a baptism. I think by August the 15th, I'm not sure. The two witnesses the Bible mentions from Jasher are true. I'm talking about entire copies. Oh, I see what you're saying. So I don't there's something I think people, and I don't know when the book of Joshua was written. What's in the I have to read. I've read the book of Enoch 1, not 2 or 3. I've read my favorite is the Legend of the Jews. You should really read that because it gives you like the smallest of details, like when Noah was born, his father Lamech goes running away to his father. Is it Methuselah? Yeah, to Methuselah says, this kid is different than the rest of us. Probably the first white man born, in my opinion. This kid's different than the rest of us. His skin's white. You can see his blood vessels in his arms. His hair is white. His eyes are so blue when he opens his eyes, it lights up the whole room. What is this? And Methuselah comforts him and says, no, he's got a special purpose. That's why he looks like that. And so Lamech goes back and raises his son. So that might have been the first white man on the planet. Maybe white people aren't as and here's like, I don't even want to get into that argument because then we're going to have all kinds of people going, you see, everyone was this color back then. Let's not get into that. I don't like that conversation. Since I'm the only white guy in my house, let's stay away from that subject. Is it a crime for God to force his love on us? I don't even know why would you ask that? Like, who forces his, no, he doesn't force his love on anyone. He just tells you you're all going to hell, and here's a safety line, grab a hold of it. Here's a cup, drink from it. You don't have to, don't drink from it. That's up to you. You were all already going to hell. But if you want the safety line, you can take it. You don't have to if you don't want to. Oh, why does this do this? What a pain. All right. Oh, it's jumping too fast. I'm skipping stuff. There we go. Let's see. Let's see here. I don't even want to get into this, but I'll do it anyway. A Watchman YouTube channel asked for donations, saying that those who give will get rewards in heaven. This doesn't feel right to me. If it doesn't feel right, don't do it. And I'm not telling you that your feelings are right. If there's something that doesn't feel right in your spirit about it, don't do it. Don't give them money. You don't have to give any money. And this is no more than a reward in heaven, and their rewards are important, right? I mean, some people have the money to give, donate. If you don't have it, don't worry about it. You're not losing anything by not donating. I don't like the channels that come on and say, don't donate to that guy because he makes too much. Donate your money to me instead. Or they come on and they invent a brand new emergency every week. My dog has a hangnail. Send me money. It just never ends. It's super annoying for me. I don't ask for money. I don't want anybody's money. What's been given to me freely, I give back freely. But there's some channels like Chris at Global Rapture Watchers. That guy's moved thousands of Bibles and has helped people that are hungry. So, donate to that guy because he has a system set up to help. And I have never seen him just invent a brand new, emergency every single week. My cat fell off the counter. I have to take her to the vet. Send me I don't even want to hear it, and God will bless you. Don't say that. I mean, don't say that. Just know that if you, help an old lady across the street doesn't help your salvation, but it might add to your rewards in heaven, which, could be a pretty big deal, right? Oh, it's doing that thing. What is this thing? Get this out of here. Painting. What a pain. Oh, there we go. It's moving. What time is it on there? 2:46. Oh my goodness. I'm like 50 minutes behind. Strength Ministries is here. Send that guy all your money. Those people know where to put it. You know what I'm saying? They know where to was it Bob at End Time Dreams Division? They know where to put the money. They actually help people out, so that's a good thing. So I would just use caution with that type of stuff. Nothing worse than somebody says, "Ooh, prophetic watching 88 is here." Hi, Peter. How you doing? Um, so send your money there. 251. Still going. Let's see here. All the people are here. I'm out. How are you doing? He's talking about Twinkies again. What does he say? Something Twinkie, and we're just Twinkies. I don't know what his saying is. Pretty funny. I can't repeat it. Let's see here. Just Roscoe. How you doing, Brandon? Trying to find the word question. What time? 2:55. Oh, I'm still so far behind. I want to get to all the questions, but how long have it been? Oh, we've been on here an hour and a half. Yeah, I'm way back in the chat. Let me see what this question is real quick. Question. Oh, you asked the same question again. Let's see here. Mike's timeline. Yeah, you can go to get my timeline. They posted that in there. You can get David's. You can get all kinds of timelines in there. Sister Sandy did all that work, built a website for all of us, and then posted all. It's all free. None of us are collecting money to try to position ourselves to prove ourselves right over anyone else. We just put it in there for you to go in and study for yourself. 307. I'm 30 minutes behind now with this question. Question. What is today on your calendar? You are using the Enoch calendar. What is the current weekday? Since the sun hasn't set, take that into consideration. I don't know what part of the planet you're on.